Guys, JayzTwoCents, and we're going to be doing this one probably somewhat on the iPhone a little bit. Sorry for it being kind of cheesy and cheap, but it's just easier to handle this way. So, we are doing our X99 build. And once again, there are snags. Things are never, ever easy. Now, I said, okay, now I just put out an Instagram saying it's alive, but it's far from perfect. Let me go ahead and start elaborating. First off, this is a pretty standard size cooler in terms of just its overall size. The fan sits right over top of the dim, which I guess is kind of normal, but you wouldn't be able to get that dim out if you were doing with this cooler, itself. Okay, fine, I get that. But here's the other problem. Do you see how close the 16X top slot is for the PCI Express to the cooler? You can't really see it, but down in there, God, come on, camera, stop it. Down in there is the release tab for the graphics card. Now, because I put the graphics card in after the cooler was in, I cannot get the graphics card out because the cooler is blocking it. Now, if I take the fan off, I can kind of get my finger down in there to actually release the card. But I couldn't do that if I had RAM in here, right? So everything is just like squished together super tight. And there's another problem with this top slot that I'm gonna also point out that I'm not happy about. So probably the major gripe I have is the lower tabs for the memory. You see that? Do you see how they pop down? Right? Most motherboards now are going with a bottom retention clip that doesn't actually move, or only the top does. Can anybody spot the problem with this? Does anyone spot the interference with the slot? Jay, you're being awfully hard on EVGA. This is a $400 motherboard. EVGA has been really good to me, but it's also very important for me to be as unbiased as possible and give real user experience. That's why I started this YouTube channel. That's why I do this whole thing. It's not to get free stuff and build cool systems and just be like, oh, if there's a problem, just gloss over it and then have somebody else potentially have a big issue because they bought something based on my experience that I portrayed rather than experience I really had. So I can deal with these issues and actually move forward with this build for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm running water-cooled graphics cards, water-cooled CPU, rigid tubing, and all that, I'm not pulling components in and out of my system all the time. As long as I can get it all installed, then we're actually good to go. But that's not the case for other people. Other people may want to upgrade their RAM, more frequently. They may want to change out their graphics cards more frequently, or not be stuck to everything is kind of like threaded together in such a way that you can't pull anything out individually, because these problems I'm pointing out exist on non-water-cooled parts as well. I mean, the 290X, the 780 Ti, a lot of these cards have backplates on them. So you're not going to be able to get the memory out when the graphics card's in there. It's little things like that that really just have me scratching my head on this and going, I'm very disappointed in the design choice. There's also one other thing on here that I need to show you. So I just got done talking to EVGA, Jacob over there, and they're aware of some of these issues, like the USB 2.0 goes up, where the 3.0 is a 90. That's kind of weird. But the problem is, if you have anything in this bottom slot right here, if I was to say not run anything in the top slot, that way I don't have the interference with these tabs right here, then we interfere with the front panel connectors where the graphics card comes right over the top of those. And I think if I put a tight bend on the cables, it would actually fit, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'm going to figure out what I need to do on this. But I was talking to him, and he was saying that they tried sourcing these single-sided latches, slots with the single-sided latches in black, and they were having a really hard time. So I've actually been sitting here like practicing. Okay, can I get this stick out with only doing one side? So yes, I can, as you can see. The question is, can you get it back in? And if you kind of like, I know it's really hard to see, guys, let's see here. if I kind of finagled that in there just right, which, you know, kind of sucks on enthusiast platform, you shouldn't have to do any of this, I can actually get the DIMM slot back in without having to move that tab. So I guess I have a workaround for that at least. It's not ideal, but it's possible. So anyway, yeah, we'll go with that. I mean, I'm kind of calming down a little bit. Why am I upset? Well, because I want EVGA to make such a... I want them to come back and be a strong contender in the motherboard, you know, realm and strengthen their portfolio with good motherboards and stuff. But I just... these little things. And I understand that this is, you know, this is early adopter blues, and I'm okay with that. I really am. I don't want to have to deal with these little things, but we're going to go ahead and go forward with this build because I'm hearing good things about the overclocking on this board, where it's actually, I guess, contending with Asus in terms of stability, which I guess we'll find out. But I'm going to go ahead and go forward. So, yeah, EVGA, I want you to do well. It's like a parent that's like, I only want the best for you guys. I want you to do better than I did. I care. That's what it's all about. So I tried peeling up the aluminum plates that are on there by using, you know, a razor blade and, you know, to peel it up. And two things were happening. Just which I was afraid of. Gosh, I can't even talk. One, it's stuck down there really good, so it starts to bend, and I don't want it bent. And two, you know, actually I could have probably just pulled them off and said screw it and cleaned the inside, and it would have all been solid black. Well, hindsight, whatever. Anyway, two, it started to scratch the metal around it, so I didn't want that to happen. So what I did now is, as you can see, I masked off a pretty massive piece of the motherboard, and I traced out very defined where those indentations are for the EVGA-E, and then I actually use this little round thing here to kind of get in there in the corners. That way it's pushed down really good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a razor blade. I'm going to get a brand new razor blade. This one's kind of chewed up, so it's nice and sharp. And I'm going to trace that out, and then I'm going to peel up the parts on the top of the E, and I'm going to spray it either black or yellow. I can't decide. I might do yellow. But either way, this is the technique I'm using to get that heatsink looking right. Alright, so there it is. Now I just have to decide if I want to do yellow or black. And then, you know, I think I'm going to do yellow. Ah, God, it's a hard decision, though. Maybe, you know what? I'm just going to do black. Black it is. So I fixed the bottom heatsink. Now, as you saw, I had traced it out, and I was going to do just black and leave the whole heatsink the way it was. But the problem was the black that was on here, the powder coating or whatever that was on there, was like a semi-gloss. Where if you look at the top heatsink, this is very dull, dusted, kind of a satiny black. And I didn't think the top heatsink matched the bottom heatsink well enough. So I went ahead and just masked off the X99 logo there and decided to do a dusted black primer finish to the entire thing. So as you can see now, if it would stop overexposing, I think it looks a million times better. Now my next challenge is these guys, because I don't. The rip jaws, great memory, but I don't like these logos, these labels. So as you can see, I kind of started to peel one up right there. Let's see if it'll focus. Come on. There, I started to peel one up just to see if they would come off, and they do. So I'm going to probably end up peeling off these labels on here too, just so it's black, you know, stealthy RAM. So I took the neat approach a little bit farther. There's the rip jaws right there, and as you can see, that just kind of really clashes with the whole color scheme I've got going on in there. Plus, I think they're labeled as gaudy. And since these are review samples, they don't have any warranty really anyway, so I went ahead and just ripped off the labels. You can see this is before, you know, and after. This is going to look, obviously, this is going to look so much better in there, so yeah. You know me, I can't do anything simple and quick. I just have to like ADD out and do all of these little things. But I did put the info for the RAM, you know, the sticker for that back on there. So anyway, that still looks better than that ugly label. I love G-Skill memory. It's great for gamers, great for overclocking, but dang, their label department needs some help. All right, well there it is. Project Skunkworks is getting ready to come apart. Yep. So I'm going to have to redo the tubing right there, different fittings, you know, for the third graphics card. The tube for the CPU should line up, CPU socket on both motherboards is in the exact same place. So fingers crossed. And figured we'd just do kind of one last little video of her before she comes apart. But she's probably just going to make her way over there. The motherboard, CPU, and RAM. Because the Z97 is no slouch. But it also doesn't hold a candle to the 8-core 16-thread monster in terms of productivity. And considering productivity is what I do on my computer, yep, the Z97 is already retired. Perfect for gaming though. If you're a gamer, shoot man. Z97 4790K, it's a beast. Once again, my drain system proves to be very, very worth having. So, and my hands are a little bit yellow. I don't know if you can see that. I got some coolant on my hands, and now I've dyed my fingers yellow. I got caught yellow-handed. Maybe you can see that, maybe you can't. Oh well. So now it's time to remove the tubing and stuff, and I already unplugged all the cables except for the 24 pin. I need more slack on that one. Slide it out, and we take that bad boy, and we slide it in. You gotta slide it. Like slide. Alright, we're getting there. Now we're getting to the point, well, let me back up. I did a lot, obviously, without the camera being on, and that's okay. I'm kind of getting an idea now of where all the wires are going to be because the layout's a little different. And I'm checking my tubing. Now, in terms of centering, the CPU block and the socket is slightly off. So you can see if I make this tube straight up and down, it's, let's see, right about there. It's not perfectly lined up on that fitting, so it's going to be off slightly. As you can also see, the socket's a little bit lower than where it is on Z97, so I'm going to have to actually just cut a little bit of that length off, and then I might have to do like a little dog bend in there where it's just kind of like just slightly jiggered. That's pretty easy. I'll just put the silicone tube in there, heat it up, and then I can move it over slightly, and I'll have a slight bend in there, just tiny little bend. I'm not sure where I'm going to do it yet. I could do it up here in the joint, but that also means because the socket's down lower, this tube to the radiator doesn't fit anymore, and that sucks because that's the bend I hated the most. So I'm going to actually have to rebend that, but that's okay because look how sick these graphics cards look. I have never owned an SLI setup until I did it on camera for you guys a few months back. I have never owned anything this freaking fantastic, so this is really cool. I'm kind of wigging out over my own system here, but I'm not going to do a whole lot more tonight. I'm tired, and I'll keep building on this tomorrow. I might actually do the bending tonight, but we'll see. It definitely won't be up and running tonight. So she's all wired up, and I'm really having a hissy fit right now with these extensions. I can't wait till the power supply cables are ready to go because they just keep like separating and fanning out because they want to do what they want to do regardless of what I tell them to do. And the new cables that were sent to me don't have the combs on them, so I can't control the way these cables actually go as well as I want to. I mean, okay, yeah, this isn't bad, but I think I'm being a little bit picky on this one, but that's just me. I also am not a fan of where the USB 3.0 is on this board. On the Z97 board, it was right there going out the side, so I could have had it come in from the side, and it would have been super clean with no wires coming from the bottom. But because of the way that 3.0 is, it's a 90-degree pointing down, I have no choice but to do that funky bend in the cables, which puts a lot of stress on that joint. Hope it doesn't ruin the cables. So I just went ahead and brought the I/O button wires from the bottom anyway. Otherwise, as you can see, there would have been absolutely no wires on the bottom. So I don't like that. But I don't really have a choice, do I? I had not tackled the new tubing yet, mostly because I still don't want to do that one, but that's all I need to do. I just need to get these two tubes figured out, and then it's ready to be turned on. I've already installed the 1600 watt. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back. I don't put a whole lot of effort into the back of the cases, mostly because they don't show, and also because I am getting fully sleeved set of black and yellow cables, black, yellow, and gray cables for the 1600, and so it's all going to be coming out again anyway, so I can rewire it up nice and clean. All in all, it's not too bad on the back. It could stand to be a little bit cleaner. It's my hard drives, my SSDs, so yeah. We'll just get those tubes bent, and then we'll be ready to fire her up for the first time. Alright, well there's a little little dog in there, little dog leg in there. I had to do whatever you want to call that. I don't know. It doesn't look too bad. I kind of like it. I mean, it looks like a circuit trace almost, but it kind of sucks that that block doesn't perfectly line up. Because from other angles, it looks like a weird like kink, I guess. But I can't do anything about that. It's just because the block and the socket do not perfectly line up with where the fitting is. But you know what? I can live with it. I mean, I could end up doing something else too, where it like comes up, goes over, and then back in. It would look weird though. I don't know. I'll kind of play around with that while I'm doing the top bend. I'll kind of think about that and see what happens. Alright, all the tubing's done. Time to fill her up, bleed it, and then it's time to see what this 8-core CPU is all about and see how I did in the silicon lottery. So fill it up time, and then maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll do some epic B-roll once it's ready to go. You guys love that B-roll.